Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back. So what's a guitar and a ukulele, a baritone ukulele, and a guitarlele all have in common? Well, let's talk about that. So, put this down so it doesn't go flying. Alright, so with a guitar, we have 6 strings. With a ukulele and a baritone ukulele, we have 4 strings. With a guitarlele, we have 6 strings like a guitar. Tunings, of course, are definitely going to be different. However, on a guitar, you have E, A, D, G, B, and E. On a baritone ukulele, you have D, G, B, and D. Same 4 bottom strings as a guitar. So your chord formations are going to be virtually identical, with the exception of a number of chords, of course, where you're not using either of the 2 top strings. So you have to shortcut certain things. So if I want a G chord on a guitar, for example, I play a G formation. If I want a D, I play a D. Okay? If I want an A, I can play an A. Right? So, a little bit different, right? That's the normal stuff on a guitar. So, on a baritone, if you're going to play baritone uke, I don't have one here, so I'm going to have to use my guitar as an example. If I want a G chord on a baritone uke, I have to put my finger on the first string of the 3rd fret, okay, so, and it's going to be my 3rd finger that I used for this, okay, and I can strum the 3 bottom strings, because the leader here on the 3rd string up is actually a G, so D, G, B, and E, right, so, that's my G chord. If I want to do a D, I do my D, and I can do all 4 strings. Now, if I want an A chord, that's a little different, right? So, I do an A chord, because it is the same. So it's not really different. You're using the same, okay? So, you do have that concept. Yes, I put a twist in there. I had to make you think. So, there you go. Anyways, so a baritone uke and a guitar are very similar because the tuning on the 4 bottom strings of the guitar and the baritone uke's only 4 strings are the exact same tuning. So your chord familiarity is going to be there. So if you're going from a baritone guitar, a baritone uke into guitar, it's a very easy transition. If you're going from a guitar to a baritone, it's simplified. Okay, except you're missing 2 strings, so certain chords are now shortcutted in their fingerings, right? So that's all the real differences there between the baritone and that. Now, getting into the guitarlele. The guitarlele has got 6 strings, but the guitarlele also uses a different kind of tuning. So, to keep everything straight, I'm going to actually use my tuner here, because I do tend to forget some things. So a guitarlele is 6 strings, same as a guitar, except the tuning pitch is different. It actually goes A, D, G, C, E, and A. So we're on the 5th fret of the guitar, right, to get the same exact tuning of a guitar guitarlele. So if you wanted to play guitarlele, you don't need to go out and buy guitarlele if you already can play guitar. And you've likely used a capo on the 5th fret before anyways, so you've already done this, right? So guitarlele to guitar, so simple, and all 6 strings. The difference is you're playing different chords with familiar formations. So if we do a C formation on the 5th fret of a guitar, which would be standard tuning for a guitarlele, we actually get an F chord. Kind of interesting when you think about it. That's an F. See, if you have a song on guitar that says 5C key of F, that means the capo goes on the 5th fret. You're going to do a C formation for your main C chord, which is going to be key of F, so you're actually playing an F in the C position. Confusing? Sometimes it can be a little bit, especially if you're not used to the whole capo thing, because capos are used in multiple places along the guitar. So, and every time you change the position of a capo, chord names change, because the actual chord you're playing is not the chord that you're fingering in that sense. So, for example, if I put my capo on the first fret and I need to play a song in the key of A flat means that it's also a G sharp. So if I played a G here, normal, that's a normal G. Now I could bar chord all this stuff and not use a capo. Fingerings, of course, will change because now the finger that you would normally have in common to use for many chords is not being used anymore because it's the bar. It creates a new nut because your nut is here, so your finger now becomes the new nut. Kind of like when you want to do a chord here, right? So your finger becomes the new nut, and then your three fingers have to do all the chords that you can do with three fingers, okay? Capo frees up that one finger and allows you to have access to all four. But anyways, we're in A flat, which means G sharp and A flat are exactly the same, okay? They just call them different names because if you're playing with a piano player and she's playing in the key of A flat, that means you're actually, your first chord is a G sharp in this case, so you do a G formation to get a G sharp. Okay, so when we go up into the 5th fret, we are going into a different key. When we go to the 3rd fret, the 4th fret, and so on, we're changing the key, so we change the name of the chord, and the chord actually changes its voicing because we've used this, because our tuning has now changed. Okay, well, couldn't you just simply retune the guitar and then just do the same thing? Actually, in some cases, you can do some retuning to a certain extent, but when you get too much tension on your strings, the problem becomes you start snapping strings. So it's a lot simpler to just use a capo or do the proper bar chords or chordings that you require in order to accomplish the same task. Okay. Now, I personally know over 500 chords in my brain, so there's a lot I can do and not ever require a capo, but sometimes I do find it easier to just use the capo. In this case of the guitarlele's tuning being A, D, G, C, E, and A, well, I'm playing a song in the key of F, so I'm doing a C formation to get that F. So if you want to verify that, let's do this the simpler way. Okay, so I'm going to tag my finger here because I know this is where it ends. If I do a C formation here, this is how I know it's an F chord. So C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F. Okay, bingo. And that's where my finger ends, is right where I left it on that fret. So now I can take my capo, I put it there, and that's my F chord. Okay, so a guitarlele, if you needed a D chord on a guitarlele, you have to do an A formation in order to do that, and you have to do the A in the positions of the strings of D, G, and B, right? And you can leave the E open, of course, and strum all that, and you get a D. If you need a G chord, okay, on a guitarlele, you're going to have to do a one-finger G, okay, on the 3rd fret, and you use the 3rd finger. Because, again, this is your new nut, so everything changes, right? But this is now your G chord. But you strum 3 strings, not 4, because your open string is D, okay, so you have to strum the bottom 3, and that gives you your G. Kind of funky and weird, but you have to shortcut certain things, even on a guitarlele, even though it has 6 strings, to accomplish the same tasks, okay? And that's to play in the lower end. If you're going to play a higher up end, well, then you could do the same type of chords, but your shapes again are going to change again to accomplish the same task. So that's kind of a bit of a mind whack on you on that one, but that's okay. We're still doing fine here, hopefully. Okay, so now we've discussed the baritone uke, we've discussed the guitar and the guitarlele. So now we get into the ukulele. Now the ukulele is kind of a different little beast as well. It's kind of a cute little guitar. And of course your guitarlele, your baritone uke, and your ukulele are all nylon strings. The only one that's the exception of extras, of course, is your guitarlele having 6 strings. The baritone uke has 4. Its tuning is the same as a guitar, like we've already discussed. It's D, G, B, and E. This is G, C, E, and A as a standard tuning, which part of a guitarlele, the bottom 4 strings on a guitarlele are G, C, E, and A, as we've already discussed as well. Now, to get a C chord on the ukulele, and this is a tenor uke, but it doesn't matter, okay, we put our 3rd finger on the 1st fret. This gives us a C. And we only strum 2 strings. Now, if we need a G chord, we have to do a D formation, okay? And we can use all 4 strings because the top string is an open G. Or we can just use the bottom 3. It's kind of up to us at that point, okay? But we have to do D formation. To get a D chord on the ukulele, we have to do an A formation up in the top 3 strings. So we leave the bottom string open. This gives us a D. Okay? And the A would be kind of like this. So 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the top string, 2nd finger, 1st finger on the 1st fret of the string below it. That would give us an A. Okay? So there's a lot of things familiar between them for transitioning purposes. So if you're going from a ukulele, standard ukulele, into a guitarlele, you have 2 extra strings, but your tuning is the same except for the 2 top strings, which you won't have on the uke. You will have 2 top strings on the guitarlele. The baritone side of things, you could transition to a baritone. The only thing is, things are now going to change, because on a baritone, when you do a D formation, you're actually getting a D chord, right? A G chord is only 1 string, which would be the 3rd fret, which is the funny thing here. We get a C here on the 3rd fret, okay, where on the baritone uke, that exact same position on the baritone is actually a G chord. Why? Because the tuning has changed. It's D, G, B, and D, as opposed to this being G, C, E, and A. So your notes will dictate in its orders what chords you are actually producing. Okay? Now, can we use a guitar to replace the ukulele and the guitarlele and the baritone uke? Absolutely. Not a problem. Okay? You could. Now, why you would want to use a guitar to replace a baritone, that's kind of the strange thing, because a baritone uke is the same 4 bottom strings, so you're not really replacing at that point. You can still play a regular guitar as if it was a baritone uke, but you're shortcutting your chords, so you're not getting the rich fullness of the chords in a guitar when you're using it as a baritone uke. So you're actually best to actually buy a baritone uke for the purpose of a baritone uke, for those shortcuts, so it also doesn't mess with your head, because you have 6 strings here in the same tuning, right? Because your 4 bottom strings are the same on the guitar. But I would definitely consider using a guitar if you can get through the mind melding of ukulele to guitar. Because on the ukulele, like I said earlier, let me just grab my capo here. It just keeps me straight too. On a ukulele, we bar the 5th fret with a capo, and we can just use the 4 bottom strings. So now the capo is the new nut, replaces this because we've moved things up. So now our 4 bottom strings are the same tuning as a ukulele. So now we want that C chord. We got our C. We want a G, we do a D formation. And so on. We want a D, we do an A formation. Okay, so we could use a guitar easily to replace a ukulele, and definitely as a replacement for a guitarlele. So if you are a guitar player, your guitar already has a built-in ukulele and guitarlele at the same time, because you will be using the capo on the 5th fret or barring in some manner on the 5th fret to get the F that you would require for a specific song, because you need that exact voicing for that song. And the big thing is the voicing, right? You need that voice. There's a couple ways to get it. The simplest way to free up all your fingers, of course, is to actually use a capo. Okay, so as long as your song is keeping you within this area of the neck from here to here, you can just use a capo instead of bar chording. And like I said, it frees up your fingers, it's less strain on your hand, etc. Okay, so now on the guitarlele, of course, the C formation is an F. But on the guitar, it's also C formation is an F, but this is the same tuning as a guitarlele. Okay? And your other chords will change accordingly as well. So those are your familiarities. So a guitar is a perfect guitar, but it can also replace a ukulele, and it can replace a guitarlele. So you don't have to go spend a whack load of extra money on 2 other instruments, because all 3 of those are all built right into this sucker. The baritone side of things, you could play Baritone Uke if you wanted to, because they are cool sounding with the nylon strings. And you are shortcutting, so you're already familiar to shortcuts as it is, but things are going to change a little bit in chord names between a ukulele and a Baritone Uke, because the Baritone Uke is the same standard tuning as the guitar's 4 bottom strings. So you're playing a Baritone Uke, so, you know, baritone, a D is a D, right? A G is 1 finger, right? So, etc. So it is kind of neat. That's pretty much about what I got for you guys today. I know it's a bit of a but you can also rewatch this video several times to re-grasp all the differences between them and the familiarities. You know, so you lose a couple fingers out between a uke and a baritone uke. You gain fingers on the guitarlele, of course, but of course you're completely different tuning. But really, a guitarlele is the 5th fret. Okay, a ukulele is the guitar with a capo on the 5th fret. Just concentrate on the 4 bottom strings. Now, I like the advantage of having an actual ukulele, so I don't have to get, you know, mind melded in with these other 2 strings. You know, because like I said, I'm going to be teaching my pastor's daughter and her husband ukulele, and because I realized in the last couple of days, it's kind of like, a light bulb goes on. I've done all this before because I've used capos, right? And I've had to do all these, you know, positions, right? It's like I already know this stuff. I just have to remember that on the uke I have 2 less strings, and so my fingerings have to change a little bit to achieve the same things, right? So, and that's all it really is. It's really not that difficult to grasp once you figure all this out. Okay, so hopefully this helps you guys out as well. So I hope you did enjoy the video and you learned lots. But like I said, for me, I would say, you know, if you want to play guitarlele, just put a capo on the 5th fret of a guitar if you're already a guitar player. If you're not a guitar player already and you don't want to play guitar, you'd rather just play guitarlele, then just go out and get a guitarlele and you're fine. You know, it's just that you are going to be limited to that area and that tuning style, okay? Because you cannot retune a guitarlele and drop the tuning down to the same as a guitar. It just doesn't work, okay? It's like trying to tune a guitar up to the pitch of a guitarlele. It's not going to work well for you. You're going to break strings. So you're better off to just, you know, have a guitar, use the capo on the 5th fret, and you got the best of 3 worlds. You've got 3 guitars in one, technically, and who cares about the baritone because, you know, you've got the main guitar itself. So it's kind of your choice on how you want to do things. I just thought I would explain these different concepts and how they've done all of this, but it has some confusion to it, especially when you're looking at the chord charts, right? Because, like I said, the 3rd fret of the bottom string on a ukulele is a C chord, where on a guitarlele the same thing is actually a G, right? And it's kind of like sorry, was I right on that one? Anyways, the baritone was the 3rd fret. Anyways, the guitarlele would work the same way for the G chord, 3rd fret bottom string, because you're kind of playing it like a ukulele and a guitar at the same time. It's kind of different. I'm sure there's alternate Gs that you can do as well, alternates of all these chords. I only have some basic chord charts for the ukulele. I've got this full left-handed chart that's, well, not all the chords possible, but Baritone Uke with its own main tuning. I've got a fuller sheet of standard uke chords. These aren't all the chords, obviously, but, you know, there are many more. There's tons of combinations. The nice thing, too, about a baritone uke is a baritone uke, just as one last note, if you capoed the 5th fret of a baritone uke, because you capo the 5th fret on the guitar to turn it into a guitarlele, you capo the 5th fret on a baritone ukulele, you end up with a ukulele. Okay? Because you're tuning on the 5th fret of a baritone uke is now G, C, E, and A. So now the baritone becomes a baritone uke and a uke at the same time. Now that's cool. And I like the fret spacing a lot on the baritone uke as well, because it has a little bit bigger fret spacing than it does than a regular ukulele. So that's also a very cool factor as well. And I am actually thinking about grabbing a baritone uke again just to have one, because it is kind of fun to just take that, you know, around with me and just play it like a guitar, and you know, it's a lot of fun. Saves a lot of hauling stuff around. You know, it's like lightweight. Hold it with one finger and, you know, haul it around anywhere. But anyways, thanks so much for watching, guys. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and smash that bell for notifications to get new information on uploads to my channel. And if you have any questions, comments, you leave them down below in the comment section. And like I said, I do the best I can to answer them. I am not a proficient expert, per se, when it comes to the ukulele or guitarlele. So there are some things I definitely won't know. But I have explained in this video what I do know and what the familiarities and similarities and same things are. Because I thought I would share that with you guys to help you out, and maybe it'll help you to just maybe go out and just buy a guitar and then get the best of all the worlds in one kind of thing, right? Anyways, see ya.